All right, people. Review of the week time. So, lot to talk about, lot to preview, more so than anything else. This weekend, there's really been well, not really anything of truth this weekend in terms of boxing, which is kind of weird because it seems like pretty much since the kind of the middle of June thereabouts, it seems almost like every weekend, whether it be a big show or a small show, we've still had a show. So it's a bit weird. It's actually a bit weird to be starting to review the weekend, not reviewing, I should say, a show that happened. But that it is the way. There hasn't been really anything of note in that sense. But there is an awful lot to preview. We'll start by having a preview of this coming Saturday's card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The week processions, as such, will kick off tomorrow. I think, is it the Grand Arrivals is Tuesday, and they do like a media day on the Monday. I know they're not like, even though Usyk Dubois 2 was a big fight, that was very normal in the truest sense. It was just, you have your public workout, you have your media day, which is the press conference, and then the weigh-in, and then fight night, all that. In Saudi, or certainly Riyadh season shows, it's the whole 9 yards. It's completely different. They do all the media work, everything. It's going to be interesting. It's all going to kick off tomorrow. The card itself, I've given my 2 cents on it. It's very good. That fly is still flying around. He will not go away. I don't know. I just... People were commenting on that in the last one. I don't know how. I really don't. He just seems to be attracted to said camera whenever I hit record. But yeah, in terms of the card, it's a good card. I like this card. There's some interesting matches on it. Interesting in a sense of, I'm alluding to obviously David Alai versus Filip Hrgovic, where it's just kind of out of left field, but still, I'm intrigued to see what happens in that fight. I think that's going to be a fun one. Ray Ford versus Abraham Nova is not a terrible fight. Yes, I would have preferred if it was Anthony Cacace, but I still think it's a decent scrap. Raymond Ford is tremendously talented. He's been looking so much better at 130 pounds. His old nemesis from 126 pounds, Nick Ball, defends his world title against Sam Goodman. Sam Goodman moving up in this fight, moving up in weight, and in reality, you could say moving up in class. Nick Ball is a very, very talented fighter. I did a preview for the Ring Magazine's YouTube channel last week, and I mentioned that Nick Ball, he really didn't have the red carpet rolled out early on in his career. I mean, if you type in Nick Ball in his earlier days, he's fighting in small hall shows up in Liverpool, up in hotels in Bolton and places like that, really obscure small hall scenes, really. And a lot of fighters, you see, what's the thing about the small hall scene, certainly in the UK, there's fights on up and down the country every week. There's always a small hall show somewhere in the UK, whether it be down south, in the Midlands, or up north, there's always something going. And on those shows, you have the likes of the Nick Balls of the world, who it's there, talent is there, they just need that chance. And Nick Ball got that chance with Frank Warren. I think it was 2020 in the behind closed door events that Nick Ball was kind of starting to be, featured on the Frank Warren shows. He's gone from strength to strength. He should be unified champion, but he is WBA champion. I expect him to beat Sam Goodman. I do, but I think that's going to be an interesting scrap. A really interesting scrap. I've said this before about Nick Ball. The style he has, while entertaining, I'm not expecting Nick Ball to be around in, say, 3-4 years' time. Just because that style is so taxing, and he's not the biggest in terms of size. He's only 5'2", so even for a featherweight, that's tiny. Even for a featherweight, so I don't imagine Nick Ball having a lengthy career as such. So I think I just enjoy Nick Ball. We have him. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I love watching Nick Ball. So there's that. Obviously, the main event: Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte. Need I say any more? Well, I will anyway. I'm looking forward to this fight, and one of the main reasons why I'm looking forward to this fight is purely because Dillian Whyte, I'm looking at a picture of him here on X where he is training like a man possessed. Absolutely looks in shape. He looks in really good shape. He looks like he's taking this fight very, very serious. It's going to be extremely interesting to see what he weighs in on Friday, because Dillian Whyte, I've said this before about him, when he's in the kind of low 250s to high 240s, that's normally when we get the most consistent Dillian Whyte. It's normally when he looks his best. Now, he still has, muscle mass, he still has a little bit of flesh there, but even when he was weighing that. But still, we got some consistently good performances out of him. And I think the fact that he seems to be taking this fight extremely serious, there's world title implications if he wins. because Itauma is so highly ranked by WBO. It seems inevitable that Usyk is going to vacate one of those titles. Likelihood it will be the WBO title that he does inevitably vacate. So therefore, if he beats Itauma, puts him in great position to be able to challenge Joseph Parker. Do a rematch, there you go. So I think Dillian Whyte, it hasn't made me change my prediction as such. I'm not looking at this fight and thinking, oh my God, Dillian Whyte's in shape, and he's definitely going to beat Itauma or anything like that. No. I still do make Moses Itauma the favourite. I think that Dillian Whyte, although he looks in good shape, at the end of the day, he's had a very, very difficult career. He hasn't looked particularly good in a fight for many, many years now. And even when you talk about fights like the Povetkin rematch, where he did look good in that fight, that was a shot to bits Alexander Povetkin. And he was shot to bits in the first fight. He was shot to bits in the Michael Hunter fight, let's be real, right? He was really done after the AJ loss. So I don't think that Dillian Whyte, even against Huey Fury, Povetkin didn't look good. So I don't think that really is Dillian Whyte. I think you got to go back to maybe 2019, the last time we had a really good Dillian Whyte performance. It's a lot to ask, especially now for an aged fighter who has wear and tear. His last two performances, they haven't been exactly stellar. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for Dillian Whyte, certainly. But that is the card in a nutshell. We got an announcement. I thought this was an undercard fight for Canelo versus Crawford. We still haven't had the undercard announced for that, which is it's an interesting one. I don't understand why we haven't heard anything on the undercard. But we are going to have a fight that week as well on September the 11th. I believe that's a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. It's on a Thursday. So we'll have a Thursday fight night, and it's a fight that really came out of left field, but my God, it's intriguing. My God, it's an intriguing fight. So the ring has confirmed that Jarrell Big Farmer Miller won't be facing Jared Anderson, so he won't be getting the battle of the big babies. He will instead be facing Michael Hunter as a headline act in Las Vegas as part of the Canelo Crawford fight week. Don't know if that's going to be on Netflix. I would imagine it probably would be. But that's, to me, just, wow. That's such an interesting fight. Prime Michael Hunter versus Gerald Miller. That would be... It's not a prime Michael Hunter. That's what I'm alluding to. But a prime Michael Hunter, I think he has the legs to outbox Miller over 10, 12 rounds. I am going to make Jarrell Miller favourite in this fight. I'm going to make him favourite in this fight. Again, prime Michael Hunter, I look at Michael Hunter and I think he had speed, he had athleticism, he had a bit of punching power. Now, saying punching power, listen, Daniel Dubois was able to hurt Jarrell Miller. Daniel Dubois is night and day a bigger puncher than Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter's not feather-fisted, right? But I don't think he's going to hit hard enough to get... I don't think he could ever hit hard enough to get Miller's respect. But I think a younger, more on-it Michael Hunter certainly had the potential to be able to move and use his speed and athleticism to be able to probably outpoint Jarrell Miller. I don't think he's going to win this fight now, though. I really don't. I think right now we're looking at certainly, a bit like Dillian Whyte in one sense. You're looking at a Michael Hunter who, when was his last decent performance? I mean, scrapped when was the last decent performance? When's the last time he actually fought anybody? You know what I mean? I mean, this was a guy, and thank God he didn't. Well, I think he still fought, but, let's say that. This is a guy who was meant to fight Christopher Lovejoy earlier in the year. Seriously. Christopher flipping Lovejoy. In fact, I'm going to get Michael Hunter's box rec opened here because I was really a big fan of Michael Hunter when he first moved up to heavyweight. I'd seen him against Usyk, I'd seen a couple of his cruiserweight bouts, and he looked quite good. He did. And I was thinking, okay, we've got this is an interesting one here. This is an interesting addition to the heavyweight division. And it's just been like when he fought Martin Bacoli. I remember that fight very well. That was in the York Hall in Bethnal Green. Did very well that night. Got signed by Matchroom because he fought in Monaco. Only literally, 6 weeks later? Yeah, he fought Ustinov 6 weeks later. Then he fought Fabio Maldonado, looked good in that fight. Did a really good job on Sergei Kuzmin. Really good. I remember that very well. I remember that one very, very well. And actually, Martin Bacoli had way more trouble with Sergei Kuzmin. And then he obviously had the draw with Povetkin. He was unlucky not to get the nod that night, I feel. I do think that he won the fight. He won the fight. The commentators were very pro Povetkin in that fight, I remember distinctly. But he won the fight. He just didn't get the decision. And then, I literally, it's just like, what happened? what the hell happened? It's crazy, really, because he had that fight with Sean Lockery. Don't even know if that was on a Matchroom card or not. Had the Mike Wilson fight. I think that was on Thriller, if I'm not mistaken. And then I remember the Jerry Forrest fight well, because he fought Jerry Forrest earlier in his career and he beat him soundly. Now, Jerry Forrest is not a terrible fighter. He's somewhere where if you're not on it, you're in trouble, right? And he looked awful in that fight. He looked really awful. Was out of the ring then for nearly 2 years. He's been fighting. He fought Cassius Chaney in America in the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood. That was an awful fight, by the way. I wouldn't recommend you go watch a horrible fight. But he's been fighting in obscurity in Mexico. 227 he was in his last fight, so he's getting heavier as well. When was that? No, jeez, I thought he was meant to fight this year. So he was meant to fight this year, but he didn't even fight. So he's not fought at all this year, because he was meant to fight in April against Lovejoy. I didn't even know. Crazy. So yeah, Michael Hunter, the words I use, I think I'll be using them again come September the 11th. I think I'll be using, and it's words that have a fork in it. I think I'll be saying that about him. I think. Prove me wrong. What else is there? Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. AJ apparently is Jake Paul. AJ being the front runner. Jake Paul is apparently the front runner to face Anthony Joshua. I really don't know what to make of that. I really don't. I think that is a mismatch of epic proportions. It really is. I get it. Cash grab. You want to make that money. It will do baseball numbers on Netflix. It will do insane viewing, insane numbers. I get it. But still, it's Jake Paul. This is a guy, right? And I will say it again. Because this shows the level that Jake Paul is at. This is a guy who was beaten by Tommy No Fury. Right? I'll say that again. He was beaten by Tommy No Fury. And people are thinking, put him in with Anthony Joshua? Seriously? And the fact that, I know Tyson Fury is saying, oh, Jake Paul will beat Anthony Joshua with this, that, and the other. You know what Tyson Fury, he's going to say that, right? But the fact that there are people out there who actually think, AJ's done, Jake Paul, easy. Yeah, is AJ in his prime? No. Not in my opinion, he's not. Is he on the way out? Yes. Is he on the decline? Yes. Does that matter against a novice like Jake Paul? Hell to the no. It will not matter in the slightest. He is going to absolutely render. And I've said this about this fight already. If AJ holds back, it's going to make people say, oh, this fight's fixed, this, that, and the other. You don't want that as well, especially on a big event like that. So yeah, I mean, yikes. Wow. Yikes. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. What else is there to discuss? Oh yes, it was announced that Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn will now happen. It will now happen on November the 15th in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Same stipulations apply as per the last fight, £10 rehydration clause, which is complete BS, and the fight will be at £160. The fact that there's no world title on the line and there's a rehydration clause, at the end of the day, Chris Eubank Jr. chose to sign it. But if I was him, especially if there's no fines, this time, I would come in 163 and I'd rehydrate to whatever I want. If there's no fines. Because the fines, again, and this is the funny thing, right? And I can never get my head wrapped around this, right? I get it. Chris Eubank Jr. signed contracts that, had rehydration clause and had this, that, and the other, so he got fined for it. And you have people out there saying, oh, well, he signed it, he didn't abide by the rules. Okay, Conor Benn failed 2 PED tests and has had no repercussions. What's worse? Seriously, what is actually worse? Missing a check or missing a rehydration clause, which he didn't miss, and the whole him missing weight because he was overweight by a couple of ounces, and there is a story behind that as well. I know the ins and outs of that story as to why that happened. So I know it wasn't done deliberately, but it's just ridiculous. To me, it's just ridiculous. Conor Benn, again, the board. Conor Benn dragged the board's name through the mud when he failed those 2 tests, and the board, who you would think would not do him any favours, are literally just, do whatever you want. But Chris Eubank Jr., because you slapped him with an egg, because what was it? Didn't they call him up on some like mean tweets or something like that? Oh, we're gonna find your ass. It's like, what? It does not make any. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh yes, let's talk about this. So Frank Warren has announced a new show, which will be I should say new show, a show in Manchester in the Co-op Arena, the Co-op Live Arena. Joshua Buatsi will make his Queensbury debut against Zach Parker. Good luck to him. That's all I'll say there. Zach Parker has never impressed me at 168 pounds. Certainly not at 175. That's a good confidence builder for Joshua Buatsi. I think he'll do a good job in that fight. I think he'll beat Zach Parker relatively easily. I think he will. I think he'll probably stop him. He'll probably stop Zach Parker. I've never really been that impressed with him, as I've said. Buatsi still has ability. He still has ability there. I think that there's still things that you can do with Zach Parker. Yeah, that's what I think there. He only has one loss. You go on BoxRec, it says he's 3 losses. I was like, what? No, he's only got the one loss. That sole loss was to John Ryder, where he quit in that fight. On the undercard, you've got Bradley Ree, who is another new signing for Queensbury. He defended his European title against Lyndon Arthur. Bradley Ree was a boxer fighter at one stage, and he campaigned at 160 pounds. Lost to Tyler Denny, I believe. It's a big jump from 160 to 175, that's all I'll say. Daniel Lappin versus Troy Jones. I'm sure I saw another one on there as well. Maybe I'm mistaking things. But yeah, that's an interesting little fight card. Frank Warren, he's doing some good cards, man. He is. He's doing some good work. He's doing some good cards. So, I'm pleased with all that. I am. I'm also seeing that, and this is from Everything Boxing, that Matchroom are planning 3 more US shows for 2025 as per Eddie Hearns. Jerron Boots Ennis will headline in October, which will likely be on October the 11th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The next card will be very early November, expected to be in Orlando, Florida, with a third fight on the West Coast in December. Boots Ennis, I'm hoping, because there's reports that he could be fighting Virgil Ortiz. Although I think if we do get Boots versus Ortiz, it will likely be in Saudi. It'd be on a Riyadh or a ring show in Saudi, most likely. But that's good. That's good to know. I mean, Matchroom in the US, they're still doing good stuff. So thin on the ground are the UK shows. Although saying that, we have a few more dates. They have that Kieran Conway, George Liddard fight in October. I don't know why you'd make that fight. Kieran Conway is going to beat the living crap out of George Liddard. You've Dave Allen versus Arsenbek Makhmudov on October 11th as well, isn't it? It's October 11th as well, isn't it? And then obviously we have Paddy Donovan versus Lewis Crook. I'm looking forward to that fight. Really looking forward to that fight. Now, speaking of Matchroom fighters, Dimitri Bivol has undergone back surgery. He will need 6 to 8 weeks recovery before he can start training again. So that is going to push his return to the ring back to next year. Hence the reason why Artur Beterbiev is now facing Dion Nicholson, who is very much a JD Sky Boxing Gym fighter in terms of technique. He must mimic Deontay Wilder. It's not a good thing. I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be advising my fighters to do that. But he's going to fight Beterbiev on November 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So Beterbiev gets the run out. Who does this benefit? Because you're aging Beterbiev out, but at the same time, Bivol's suffering a back injury? Okay, let's see who this benefits. What else is there? Oh yes, Boxer this week announced that they will be officially joining with BBC, and Boxing and Boxer will be on BBC moving forward. September the 27th is reportedly their first show. It's going to have Fraser Clark, Jamie TKV on it. That'll be a good scrap, to be fair. On free-to-air terrestrial TV. It's an interesting one. I mean, you've got the biggest UK broadcaster in the BBC. It's free-to-air, obviously. No commercial breaks, as the case with the BBC. I personally, for me, like, I do think it is a good move. I really do. Some would say it's maybe even a masterstroke, because how do you build stars? And it's a fair point, right? How do you build stars when they're behind a paywall or they're behind a subscription based? Whereas you can have a Ben Whitaker who, he brings views, he brings eyes to the sport, and he's going to be on free to air. The viewership that they will be doing will be astronomical. It really will. It'll be astronomical. So, look, I'm all for it. I might not like the BBC personally, but I'll tune in when the boxer shows are on. Yeah, of course I will. 100% I will. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. What else is there? I'm pretty sure that I missed some stuff. You know what it is, right? Ade is always so professional. Like, he has the notepad like literally ready to go when we're doing Ade and G-Man. Whereas me, I tend to just kind of, right, let's hop on X and just go through all the boxing pages I can and see what we can talk about. And I think we're kind of running a bit low on things to keep talking about now. I think I've pretty much nailed everything. I'll just have a quick gander here on the Ring magazines, because if this is it, then this is it. Then we will call it here. Yeah, I'm pretty damn sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, well, we've got a good weekend ahead of us in store. We have a lot to talk about in terms of fights that are going to be happening this Saturday. We'll do obviously previews, predictions, preview for Itauma Whyte, and predictions going to come out tomorrow. I think many people already know my stance on that fight, but you know, I'll go a bit more into my own thinking on it, go through the tail of the tape, all that good stuff. But yeah, I will leave it there. We will get a live in this week. I haven't done a live in ages. An actual like live watch-alongs are good, but an actual live where it's just, you know, mic'd up, sitting here, light on, boom, let's talk boxing for an hour or so. We'll do one maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Wednesday. Maybe we'll do it on a Wednesday, because I fly back home to Ireland this week. I'm doing a watch along back home for it. So yeah, we might do that on the Wednesday. So it'll be good fun there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Everything I talked about here. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. I knew there was something I forgot. We passed 26k yesterday. Yes, we passed 26,000 subscribers yesterday. So big week. I was chuffed to bits with that. I only hit 25k 3 weeks ago, and we're already at 26,044 subscribers. So the push is on, lads. The push is on. We want to get to 30k. If I can by the end of the year, it'd be a massive achievement. It would. I think a number like 30k, that to me is a number that if you've hit something like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't be hitting 50k, 100k in the near future. If you can get your channel to 30k on, you know, merit and everything, then you should be able to get that to 100k. I've just seen Ade do it this week, which is phenomenal. I cannot wait to see his plaque, just to see it, because I've never seen one. So yeah, I'm buzzing. It's been a good journey. We're going to keep going. We are pushing like hell. On this. Thank you to everyone who's locked in. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the video, people. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Peace.